right, good morning, second grade students. Today for our social studies lesson, we are going to be looking at a world map, and the skill that we are going to be specifically working on is physical features that we find on maps. So the first thing we're going to do in our lesson today is we are going to look at a classroom globe. So let's underline that here. All right, so here is what a globe looks like. So it is 3D and we can spin it. And so this shows us all the continents and land that we have on Earth, along with all of our oceans and seas on it. And so this is one way that we can look at a type of map. And then we're going to be looking at one other type of map as well that you're probably very familiar with. And so with globes, again, they show the world and all of Earth. And then the globe also shows the land and the water that makes up our planet. So the next one we're going to be looking at is a classroom map of the world. So I don't have a classroom map on me at the moment, but the one that we're going to be looking at here is pretty much the same thing, just a lot smaller. But when you see this, you're probably going to go, oh yeah, I've totally seen this before. So here is what the globe would look like. So if we take our globe here and we took this and we laid it out completely flat on a table. So instead of it being all rounded, we just took it and now we made it completely flat. So we see here all of the oceans and continents that make up our world. And we will be looking at this again really soon. So let's head back up here. All right. And so, all right, so we just looked at a world map, and this came out of the workbook. So now we're going to talk about how the world is divided into 7 large land areas called, and this is going to be one of our key words, is called continents. So we are going to both name and locate the 7 continents of the world. And then while we do that, we are also going to take a look at and notice the shapes and the sizes of these continents. So the first bullet point here that we are going to look at, so let's zoom in here a little bit. The first one that we are going to be taking a look at is 4 of the continents start with the letter A. So that one's going to help us to remember that 4 out of the 7 continents are going to start with the letter A. So let's head back down to our map. We'll zoom out a little bit here. All right, so we need to find 4 continents to start with the letter A. So number 1 is going to be Asia. Next one is going to be Australia. And then we have Africa. And we also have Antarctica all the way down here at the bottom of our map. So those are the 4 that start with A. Now, sometimes it can be confusing because over here we have North America and South America, and America does start with A, but technically when we're talking about the continents, North America and South America are separate, and we go by the directional name before America. All right, so we found 4 of them. So now our next one says Africa, in a way, hangs off of Europe and Asia. So now let's look for Africa on the map. So it hangs off of Europe and Asia. All right, so we already found where Asia was, and then if we go to the west, we find Europe, and Asia does kind of, Africa. So we were talking about Africa hangs off of Europe and off of Asia. So we find here where Africa is, and that was one of them that we already underlined because it started with A. So now let's head back up. And our next one, another one that started with A, is Antarctica. And Antarctica is the coldest and iciest place on Earth. So Antarctica is located in the farthest south. So again, remember our directions, and we see here where south is. And so we see Antarctica, and Antarctica is very, very cold. And that's why people don't really live there. There are scientists who come and study the area and study the animals that are there. But other than that, people don't live in Antarctica because of how cold it is and also because of where it's located. All right, next up we have Asia. And so Asia is the largest continent in size, and it also has the most amount of people that live on that continent. And so again, we found Asia, so let's put a star next to that one. And as you can see where Asia is, it is a very large continent. All right, next we have Australia, and Australia is an island continent. So again, that was one of our A continents. And so we see Australia down here, and we see it is an island because it is completely surrounded by water. That is what makes Australia an island. All right, and then next we have both North and South America. They put together, but they are separate continents. So it says North and South America have America in their names. And so North America is north of South America, and South America is south of North America. And that's how they got their names. And so North America is where we live. So North America makes up Canada, the United States, Mexico, some of the Caribbean, and then South America is again south of North America. So we will underline that one. All right. All right, we're going to skip over the next bullet point and go to the last one because that is our last continent that we need to talk about. So Europe is joined to Asia in one large land area. So again, we have one more to underline, and so we have Europe here, which again is connected with Asia. All right, so then next we have the sizes of the continents from largest to smallest are Asia. So number 1 is Asia as the largest. Next is Africa. Number 3 is North America. Number 4 is South America. Number 5 is Antarctica. Number 6 is Europe. And lastly, number 7, the island one of Australia. So the next thing that we are going to discuss here is that the waters of the world are actually connected to each other. So we have multiple oceans, but they actually all connect together. So let's underline that here. So the waters of the world are connected. So the continents divide the water into 4 parts, and these are called oceans. And so the world has 4 oceans, and the names of those 4 oceans are the Arctic Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean, and the Pacific Ocean. And in the United States, we have the Pacific Ocean that borders California, Oregon, and Washington. And then we have the Atlantic Ocean that goes all the way from the state of Maine all the way down through Florida. So we have 2 oceans that touch our continent that we live on. All right, so to wrap up our lesson, let's look at our vocabulary here real quick. So we have 4 new words to look at. So number 1, we have border. And a border shows where places begin and end. So a border can be a line on a map between states or countries. And then next we have continent. And a continent is one of the 7 very large areas of land on Earth. And again, North America is a continent, and it is one of the 7 that we talked about. Next is ocean. An ocean is a large body of salt water. And again, the Earth has 4 oceans. And lastly, we have the word world. And so the world is another name for Earth. All right, and that wraps up our social studies lesson today on world maps and physical features.